The dog is the new Everdark boss, and I'll give my opinions about the boss towards the end of the video because first I want to touch on the new boss relic, Dark Knight of the Beast, which it does come with stamina recovery upon landing attacks +1, which is 3 stamina back for every single time you land an attack, doesn't matter what it is. Which for a reference, a straight sword light attack consumes roughly around about 12 stamina. So this is definitely going to pair very well alongside some quicker types of weapons, especially when power stanced. Taking attacks improves attack power is a 15% damage boost for 10 seconds when you do take an attack. And no, this does not work when blocking or deflecting. You do have to get hit to proc this perk. And the last perk is Fire Attack Power Up +2, which is a 6% damage boost to all of your fire sources. Now, as a whole, I do think this relic is pretty good. There are a couple of uses for this. And honestly, I'm going to make the prediction that this relic ends up being a lot more useful once the DLC comes around, assuming we actually end up getting a character or a Nightfarer that centers around using things like claws or a fist-based weapon, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But first, I just want to highlight this stamina recovers upon landing attacks. This is like one of the best neutral game relic perks that you can get. There is like the regular version that does give you 2 stamina per hit, and this one is just 50% better. And yes, both of these will actually stack. And this is very much the best stamina perk that you can get in the game. It's much better than the endurance boosting ones, and pretty much every single character can benefit off it. The ones that probably benefits the most would obviously be the ones that have like really quick and fast attacks, like the Duchess. The Iron Knight also does really well. Spell-based characters can perform pretty nicely with this particular relic because stamina or with spells or any type of ranged attacks, you're not going to really be like having to dodge any movesets. So like the more stamina you have, the more you can just attack. But the Guardian can also benefit off this because of this relic perk right here. When you block, it does like an AoE explosion. And this can just help you just get stamina back while blocking, which is incredible. I actually have a build already that has both of these 2 perks together. And I don't really have like room for like the Everdark boss relic because I kind of value these like damage boosting ones instead. And the main reason being is because, yeah, this boss relic comes with taking attacks, improves attack power, which just doesn't really synergize that well with the Guardian. Because, yeah, stamina recovery upon landing attacks is a good perk, but it's not that good of a perk to be like the primary option for the relic. And honestly, taking attacks improves attack power is kind of like that as well for most characters. Because in most situations, you aren't really planning on getting hit. It's like something that you just benefit off like passively throughout the expedition because you are inevitably going to take damage. And when you do, you just get a little bit of a damage boost, which is pretty nice. I do have this specific perk with one of my Duchess builds that has like a Carrion Sword Sorcery increase and Hoarfrost Stomp, which these two are like very much like the primary portion of the build. And it just came with taking attacks improves attack power, which I'm not going to complain. Like any single time that I get hit, I basically just benefit. Sometimes like in a boss fight, I might just get hit purposely because I just want to get a bit more damage if I am feeling confident enough. But for the most part, this entire boss relic isn't going to really do that well if you don't really have one that you're playing around with the most. Because yeah, even Fire Attack Power Up +2 isn't going to be that primary driver. So there only are going to be 3 different circumstances where I would run this boss relic. Number 1 would be if I am going to be fighting an enemy weaker to fire damage, like Caligo for instance, and I want to build around fire attack power, and I can just very safely just throw something like this on because both of these perks I'm just going to benefit. Now do keep in mind, I would only really do this if I had like a spare slot, which the fact that it's going to be a yellow based perk as well doesn't really help it because there are like plenty of really good yellow based perks that are like guaranteed, like the Sentient Pest boss relic, the Caligo boss relic, even the Evergel one. These things are all like guaranteed that you can go ahead and buy. It's going to have to compete with those, which is probably going to lose in most situations. Now the second use for this relic in my opinion would obviously be with the Raider. The Raider does have a skill that is very much designed for him to take damage and like trade out with enemies because it gives him a whole bunch of hyper armor and like so much damage negation. And there also is a relic perk that he does get that gives him a damage boost and a stamina boost when he does take damage throughout using the skill. And this is obviously going to synergize perfectly with the taking attacks improves attack power because you can just proc both perks at once. Now for me, I was lucky enough to get both of these perks to drop on the exact same relic, so there really isn't much of a need for me to run this particular boss relic because I can just slap on things like Evergel here instead and just probably benefit a lot more. But most people that are playing Raider probably don't have as good a luck, and this is going to be a fantastic relic to just slot in here and benefit with most other builds. And if you must know, these 2 taking attacks improves attack power do not stack, so that's the reason why I'm not going to run them together. But when it does come to the third use of this boss relic, it is going to be when in combination with hyper armor based skills. Because as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to really care to run this relic if I'm only slightly benefiting of all three. I kind of want to have one of these things be the primary option, which the taking attacks improves attack power can be that for you. So if you wanted to build around this relic perk, you also have to plan around getting hit. And obviously the way to do that would be with some hyper armor based skills. The Wilder has his great sword start off with Stamp Upward Cut, which that is a skill that is meant for trading out. You could probably pair this relic alongside some more fire attack boosting things, maybe having your starting weapon infused with fire damage. You could also have the Eruption based skill, because that skill does give you a bit of hyper armor, and obviously have a whole bunch of fire damage that does scale purely off strength. But do keep in mind, Eruption doesn't really have that much hyper armor, especially when compared to things like the Raider-based skill. But something that does have as much hyper armor and damage negation as the Raider skill is going to be Endure. I do have an Endure-based build that I actually was running and testing out with the Duchess, and it definitely can put in some work. Because if you don't know, Endure is like easily a top 10 Ash of War in Elden Ring. It is extremely powerful. It pretty much just lets you have like the Raider-based skill like just on demand at any single given time. Obviously, assuming that you do have FP. And obviously the way to play around Endure is just like use it before you're about to get hit, throw in some things like partial HP restoration and this particular boss relic, and then you can trade out very effectively. Now the reason why I'm pairing this alongside the Duchess is for two different reasons. One, the Endure skill does have like a shorter buff window. It only lasts like a couple of seconds, which is going to synergize a lot better with some like smaller, quicker weapons that don't really benefit of hyper armor at all. And also stamina recovery on landing attacks is also going to synergize best with quicker weapons too. Now the thing is, despite it somewhat working, I still would really never run this with the Duchess because it sucks in comparison to what she can normally do. The Duchess has the best dodge in like the entire Soul series. It is extremely broken. You can just chain dodge back to back and just get so many iframes and practically just never get hit. And then combined with her synergy with intelligence that lets her have a lot more damage with spells, this particular trading Endure playstyle is going to pale in comparison. But that's going to kind of lead back into what I was talking about earlier, how this might end up being better in the DLC if we do get like a fist weapon or a claw weapon type of character. Because if those characters end up getting like a decent strength or dexterity scaling, they're going to output higher DPS than someone like the Duchess can with her daggers. And I'm probably just going to put some gameplay on the screen right now. And these are Elden Ring builds that I have made a while ago. I'm just going to showcase a build with the Raptor Talons and one with the Parta with a charged heavy attack build. And you're going to see exactly how broken they can be. And if they actually end up bringing something like this to the DLC, where we can guarantee Endure on a starting claw or a starting fist weapon, and depending on the situation, we can just go all into DPS with the claws, or go all into stance breaking and critical attacks with the fist weapons, we're going to have like a very broken build on our hands. And I think the Everdark Gladius boss relic might end up being like the best end slot for this build. Now, obviously, all of this is like speculation and like predicting and stuff like that, so it doesn't really mean much, but I still have to mention it because it is like the first thing my mind gravitated towards, and that was its synergy with the Endure-based skill. But if you wanted my summary on this boss relic in particular, I think it does very well with the Raider, obviously assuming you don't have like a relic as good as this one. And it also can do very well with the Wilder as well, especially if you were to fight some bosses wicked to fire damage like Kiligo. You can just go stack all into fire damage because he has a lot of it. You could potentially power stance if you wanted to, and you're definitely going to see great benefits of this relic, but it's not going to be something I use all the time because Wilder does have a whole bunch of like really good specific character perks that it's going to be kind of hard to sacrifice those to run something like this. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your opinions are on the boss and the boss relic down below, and I'll catch you all around. See yas!